3 minutes tonight. Okay. It's just maybe a little bit higher. Good. Okay. This side. No, perfect. Very good. So what do you say about this steer of these two psukim? Banim atem Hashem Elokechem means we're banim, they're not. Umasalim are not called banim. That's one pasuk. But the other pasuk says B'ni B'chayri Yisrael, that we're called the B'chor. Says the Chizkuni there on the spot, and the Umasalim are not a B'chor, but they're banim. So they are banim or they're not banim. What would you say about such? Who do you think asked this kasha? Not the Maharal. Which Achmad does this sound like? Rebbe Elchanan Masman asked this kasha. The Kodesh Rebbe Elchanan, where at the end of Kovetz Ha'aris there's Bigurei Agodas Hashas L'Pi Apshat. He asks this kasha. The truth though was asked way before. The Sefer Maaseh Hashem of Rebbe Eliezer Ashkenazi asked this kasha. In Maaseh Mitzrayim at the end of Perek Ches, Reb Tzadok HaKohen asks this kasha a little bit before the Reb Chanan, at the end in Pri Tzadik at the end of Parshas Boy, and this question is asked, but they ask it as well. It's a gewaltige kasha. It's a gewaltige kasha. I'll tell you what the Reb Chanan answers. You know what he answers? He says like this. Bnei B'chor Yisrael, which shows we're the B'chor and the other ones are siblings, that's before Matan Torah. It was said in Parsha Shmois. That's before Matan Torah. But once the Torah was offered and the Goyim rejected, so then what happens then? What? They lost it. They're not called Banim anymore. And by the way, we're not called B'chor anymore. That's what he says. And he makes it Tushtel, a parallel to what Rabbeinu Bechaya says, a very known Rabbeinu Bechaya in Parshas Boy. It says by Rabbeinu Bechaya, usually the word Re'eu means your fellow Jew. Right? Ki yigach shol ish et shol Re'eu, says the Gemara B'Bakama, v'lo shol Knani. Re'eu means your fellow Jew? Absolutely. What about the pasuk, V'shal ish me'et Re'eu, v'isha me'et Re'usa, klei kesef v'klei zav? Who's the Re'eu and the Re'usa over there? It's the Mitzrayim. I thought Re'eu means only fellow Jew. Says Rabbeinu Chai, before Matan Torah everybody was called Re'eu. But once they rejected it, only Yisrael are called Re'eu. Says Rebbe Elchanan, the same thing I want to say about Banim. That's Rebbe Elchanan's answer to this kasha. Right? You know, I notice with my Hasbro boys, Rebbe Elchanan's Torah is the best Torah for their growth. Really, it's geschmack, it's clear. They enjoy it, they chop it. It's the best introduction to Lumdis. Is Rebbe Elchanan. Reb Bach Ber and Reb Chaim Brisker is already a much later level. It's more dakistic. But like for 14, 15-year-olds, even 16, 17-year-olds, Rebbe Elchanan, it's much gewaldig. Especially Arevus. That's what Rebbe Elchanan answers. Capish? I have it, but tomorrow will be Tchias HaMeisim. I'm going to meet Rebbe Elchanan. I got to be fair more against what he's saying. He's saying that the pasuk Bnei B'chor Yisrael, which implies the Umas Ha'olam are also banim, but they're not B'chor, is applicable only to Matan Torah. Once Matan Torah came, when the Goyim rejected the Torah, it stopped. The Gemara says the exact opposite. That this pasuk started at Matan Torah, even though it was mentioned before. You know what the Gemara says in Shabbos, Daf Peites Amud Bes? Then the days of Churban Bayis Rishon, HaKadosh Baruch Hu went to Yitzchak in the Shemayim, obviously, and he told them, Banecha Chatuli, your children have sinned to me. Answered Yitzchak, Banayim v'lo Banecha? They're my children, not yours? B'sha'a shigdimu nasa l'nishma, karate lem banim. From when they said Nasa before Nishma, you called them Banim. Shenemar Bnei B'chor Yisrael. Rashi asks on the spot, Bnei B'chor Yisrael was in the Parsha Shmois, way before Matan Torah. Says Rashi, El Shema Osin. Rashi, he had no choice, Rashi. But it's a Meferish Gemara that the pasuk Bnei B'chor Yisrael not only stopped at Matan Torah, that's when it began. It's a Mefer Shekmar. He gets to what the B'chon is saying. Shalom, shalom. And Metz Hashem, I'm going to ask the B'chon discussion. If I'll have I'm sure there's going to be a very long queue to speak them. The Rav says that the B'li B'chor Yisrael is applicable till Matan Torah. But once Matan Torah came, we're not called anymore B'chor because the Graham are not called anymore Banim. Yitzchak quoted this pasuk and he attributed to Misha'ah Shegim Unatzal Nishma. The Gemara in Shabbos that Pekes Amud Beis. Because he quotes that pasuk.
Yeah, but I'm saying that maybe the B'ni and the B'chor, you wouldn't introduce your son. Here's my son, my
No, because but Chon says Mefarish that after Matan Torah we're the only ones called B'ni.
Yes, but the B'nchol maybe came from Matan Torah, but the B'chor, Rashi says Hashem Osim.
Yeah.
Both titles, one.
Yeah, both.
Maybe you could split the pasuk.
Okay, that's what Rashi says. Fine. B'shat he knew. Okay, it's a big kasha on B'chon. I asked a few people. They all said it's a bomba kasha. Again, where's the Gemara Kivi? On Shabbos? Peites Amud Beis. Very good. Nice keys there to give me. Vidiuk. That's where the kasha is. Fine. So once again, if you don't like Rabbi Chanan's answer, so what happens then? What happens then if you don't like your answer? You're stuck with the kasha. So let's go back to the kasha. Well, let's have the kasha in honor of Rabbi Binyamin that came in. Rabbi Chanan points out that there's two psukim that contradict each other. We're still speaking about last week's Parsha. One pasuk says, Banim atem la'Hashem Elokechem, implying that only we're called Banim, and the Ummah Soilam are not called Banim. That's in Parshas Re'eh. But in Parshas Bo it says, B'ni B'chori Yisrael, which implies we're the B'chor, but they're also called Banim. So they are called Banim, but they're not called Banim. That's what the B'chor asks. And the answer is, well, this is before Matan Torah, and that's after Matan Torah, and this Quran Shabbos seems not to agree to that. So we got to come up with another answer. Yeah, everyone's here with us? Yeah. What happened to the Olim today? Where are the Or Chodesh people? There's Chasnas tonight. Okay, Mazel Tov. What? Okay, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov. Okay, let me get weiter. I want to tell you the Maharal of Prague, a religious yid that lived 400 and some years ago, does deal with this issue, not directly addressing with B'chon's kasha, in Netzach Yisrael Perek Yud Aleph. And I'll tell you, Rabbi Said, Rav Kook used to say that every yeshiva bacher and ben Torah should know Netzach Yisrael Perek Yud Aleph, Perek Yud Beis, Perek Yud Gimel, inside out. Because these three prakim define Jewish identity. That's like it's all Perek Yud Aleph, Perek Yud Beis, Perek Yud Gimel. Perfect timing. Okay, today we need chizuk. I'll tell you what the Maharal says there. For sure, only us are called banim. Why? A ben comes from the amisas atzmoi, that's how he calls it, the intrinsic essence of his father. We're called banim to Hashem. We come from amisas atzmoi of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The goyim are also ma'aseh yod of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, for sure. Everything's ma'aseh yod of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but they do not come from amisas atzmoi, from the inner parts, so to speak, of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Only a ben comes, and that's only us. And here he adds another point. Of course, it cannot include goyim, not shaykh, because whatever's intrinsic by the father goes over to the son. Let's say if the father's tall or short, that doesn't go over to the son necessarily. The son can be taller, the son can be shorter, but there's things that is impossible. It has to go. If the father is white, his son has to be white. Again, if the wife's also white, that's not shaykh. Otherwise, there are things which are intrinsic, which go from father to son. There are things which are not so intrinsic, so that could fluctuate. One of the things which is what HaKadosh Baruch Hu is all about is that he's echad. He's one. Not only he's one and not two, his whole essence, the Rambam says in the Chassidei Torah, is that he's echad. Of course he'll give birth only to echad. It has to be. Echad having 25 children is not called Echad. Hi, there are many, many things. That comes from a more distant part of Hashem, so to speak. But the inner Amisas Atzma HaKadosh Baruch Hu, for sure only comes, is one, and that's only Yisrael. The title Banim cannot be shared with other nations. However, Maharal, but since the word Banim does mean there could be other siblings, because a father could have a few children, the word Ben or Banim is not exclusive, even though we're the only ones that are called Ben. But the title, the name Ben, does not exclude others, because there could be many Banim from one person. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu attached to it the title B'chor. A B'chor could have only one. The Reishis Oini could be only one. That's unique. HaKadosh Baruch Hu attached to the title that we have Ben, the title B'chor, it's like an honorary kind of title to bring out what kind of Ben we are. We're a Ben and no one else is a Ben. What shows this what's the word? Exclusiveness. What shows it? Attaching to it the word B'chor. Because B'chor, you can have only one. You can't have more than one B'chor. Petarechem, that's something else. So a person marries 5 wives, he can have 5 B'choros. But Reishis Oini of Kefil is only one. So, of course the title Banim is only us. Bevadai. But the B'chor that HaKadosh Baruch Hu attached to our name is not the regular B'chor that you learn in Chosh Mishpat. You know, that it gets double. It's an honorary. The truth is, that's a little bit what Rashi says. Give a look at what we said. We have a Chumash, let's give a look. And Perek Dalet in Shmois, Pasuk Kavbet, I think. Here, Perek Dalet, Pasuk Kavbet in Shmois. V'amat el Por Koma Hashem B'ni Chayri Yisrael. Look what Rashi says over there, the word B'chor. V'amat el Power, good. B'ni B'chor, Lashon Gdula. K'mo Afani B'chor et Nil. So Pshutoy. Rashi comes up with another thing that has to do with Yaakov and Esau. But B'chor is a, you know, like there's an honorary PhD, there's such kind of thing. The word B'chor is an honorary thing that goes both added to show that by us, Ben, we're the only Ben. How do you see? Even though the word Banim does not exclude others, well, the word B'chor does. And since it's connected to the word Ben, it sheds a light on what kind of Ben we are. We're the only ones which are called Banim Shakadosh Baruch Hu, because we're the only ones which come from Amitas Atzmo Yavakadosh Baruch Hu. It's a more good point when you think about it. That's what Am Yisrael is about. Amitas Atzmo. The S, so to speak. When you speak about Kadosh Baruch Hu, you have to add so to speak. But we come from that part, that inner part, that intrinsic part of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's where we come from. And that's a Gemor Echad, because he is Echad. Where do you see that our Echad comes from his Echad? Where do you see it? Oh, Kadosh Baruch Hu, the Gemara. But what do we say in Mincha of Shabbos? Ata Echad, Ve Shimcha Echad, Umi Kamcha Yisrael Goy Echad Bayis. And you know, in the Piyut of Hoshana Rabbah, there's one paragraph, one Piyut which is called Oymani Choyma, which, if you have a chance to look at the words, it's Noyer Nerois. It goes according to the Aleph base, and when it comes to Yud, you know what it says? Yechida liyachadach. Yechida liyachadach. We're one that shows that Hashem's one. Our one comes from the fact that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is one, and we come from that intrinsic part of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, whatever that means. And that's like number one. But the word B'chor was added to it. You know, Rabbi said this will answer, let's see, the Beis Levi, and Parshas Toldus asks, why do you have to say B'ni B'chori Yisrael? A point that you touched a little bit, you did before. Just say B'chori. Every time it says the word B'chor, it says Ben. Rabbi said, where does it say the B'chor of Reuben is a B'chor Yaakov? Where Parshas Vayishlach? Right after the Shabim Ben Yitzui Avi. What does it say there? Vayu B'nei Yaakov. Right? That's when he spoke. But also here it says, Vayu B'nei Yaakov Shnei Masar. Where's the pasuk? Okay. Where? Lamed Hey. Where? Which pasuk? Yeah. Kavbeis. Vayu bnei Yaakov Shem bnei Lo. B'chor Yaakov Reuven. Does it say Ben? So how come we have to say Bnei B'chor Yisrael? He asked this question, the Beis HaLevi. In light of what we're learning today, what would you answer? What would you answer in light of what we're learning today? It touches on what Ben means. The B'chor is there to touch up what kind of Ben we are. That's what the Maharal says, and that's it's all Perek Aleph. We're a Ben. Usually the word Ben means the siblings, not in this case, because we're called B'chor. So maybe the kasha of B'chor is not a kasha anymore. It's not that we're called B'chor, that we have a din of a B'chor, of a firstborn, and their siblings. That's not what B'chor means in this context. It's like what Rashi says, Lashon Gedula. Lashon Gedula. But of course, I have again a Meferish Gemara that shows this point. Black and white. But voice say, well, listen to this Gemara. Shabbos. Over there. Is there Shabbos there? But which stuff does it go up to? Is it an oxbow one or a regular one? So which? Where does it start? No. I need Daf Lamed Aleph. Shkach. First, I want to read to you a Gewaltige Gemara. You know the Gemara that Ger came to Hillel and to Shammai and nudged them, and Ger and Shammai dochpo ba'amas amida. Okay, I'll tell it to you early. Fine. Maybe you could look it up on one of the phones here. Shabbos Lamed Aleph Amud Aleph. It says that a guy went by a cheder, and he heard kids learning Chumash, and he heard that a Kohen Gadol has these beautiful clothes. Tzitz and so on. He asked, who gets those clothes? So the kids told him, a Kohen Gadol. Okay, so I want to convert and become a Kohen Gadol. That's what he said. Because I hear he has such great clothes. He came to Shammai, and he said, Shammai, could you please convert me and I should become a Kohen Gadol? He threw him out. He came to Hillel, and Hillel converted him. Oh, shkach. That's Lamed Aleph Amud Aleph.
How could he convert someone?
100%. I got it. Shkach. Thank you so much. Okay. Yes. Here it is. Rabbi Yisai. Shuv Maisa Benoch Echad. Yeah. Here it is. Benoch Echad Shaya Oivar Achei Bes HaMedrash V'Shema Kol Sofer, meaning someone who teaches children. Shaya Oimer Ve'ela B'Gadim Asher Yaser Choyshen Ve'Efoid. Amar Halalu Lemi. Who gets these distinguished clothes? Amar Lu Kohen Gadol. Amar Oto Nochi Ba'atzmo Elech Ve'Etgayer B'Shvil Sheyishamsheni Kohen Gadol. Ba Lifnei Shammai. Amar Lu Gayreni Amanat Shetasimeni Kohen Gadol. Dochmo Ba'amas HaBinyan. He just pushed them away. Shabayada. Ba Lifnei Hillel. Gayre. He converted him. Look what's going to happen. But then Hillel told him, Amar Le Klum Mamidim Melech Elamish Yodea Tachsise Malchus. Which means, you want to become like a king or Kohen Gadol, you got to know the rules. I said, okay, good. Lech lemot tachsisei malchus. Go learn about Kohanim, the laws. Halach v'kara. He went. Kivan she'igia, a pasuk that says, V'azara karev yumas. Someone who's not a Kohen, he'll die. He asked, Amale, mikol zel mi ne'emar? Who's this said on? Hazara karev yumas. Amale, afilu al David melech Yisrael. Even David melech Yisrael, if he wants to become a Kohen, they're going to Hazara karev yumas. Then the penny dropped by this ger. And that's what he probably had in mind from the beginning. But look what he said, this guy. Uma Yisrael shenikru banim lamokom. The Jewish people, which are called banim lamokom. Umitoch ahava she'ahavam. And since HaKadosh Baruch Hu loved them so much, karalem b'nei b'chori Yisrael, they're called banim lamokom. And because of the ava On top of it, they're called Bnei B'chor Yisrael. Ksiv aleim v'azara kerev yumas. Ger hakal sheba b'maklo b'tarmiloi. He comes with a stick and a tarmiloi. Satchel or something on the back. What do you call it? You know when you do a trip with it and something on your back. And that back. Sheba al achas kama v'kama. How much more so? But look at this lashon, guys. He didn't say because he loved them. Because the Kodesh Baruch Hu loved them, he called them Banim and B'chor. Is it this? No. Okay, rather, what did he say? What did he say, Rabbi say? He said they're called Banim, and because the Kodesh Baruch Hu loves them, he called them B'chor. Give a look. It's mamish what the Maharal says. Umay Yisrael shenikru Banim l'makom, not Ava. Umitoch Ava she'avam kara lem bnei B'chor Yisrael. He's splitting the two titles. The title of Banim, he doesn't say Ava. The title of Bnei B'chor, he says mitoch Ava she'avam. How do you understand it? How do you understand it, Rabbi say? Here, we can give it back now to Richard. Come on, guys, come on, Leibenik! You gotta learn Torah when you're alive. I have a raya. I was in a cemetery this week, and I saw none of them were learning Torah. Isn't that a raya gedola? Remember, I went to where Rabbi Shoftim is. I go every time at the beginning of the year. We go to Rabbi go to myself, go to Rabbi Shoftim's kever. I was there. I saw they're not learning Torah. So what can I derive from it? Then you got to be alive to learn Torah. Nachon? Good. Look what that ger said. They're called Banim l'makom, and because the Kodesh Baruch Hu loved them, he added the word B'chor. That's exactly what the Ram saying. The title of B'chor is an honorary title, just to show how much he loves us. Beseder? So that takes care of that. That's really regarding last week's Parsha. But isn't it Gavaldi that we're called Banim? Because we come from the inner part of a Kodesh Baruch Hu, like a son comes from the moichin of the father. Isn't it unbelievable? And the Ummah Sodom do not have that kind of relationship. They do not come from such a place. They come from Hashem, but there's different layers. From the inside from the Kodesh HaKadoshim Prima, only Yisrael. It's half of a fellow when you think about it. That was what I say. I told you, I'll say it over again, even though you heard the story from me once, I'll say it over again. I once traveled from Rio de Janeiro to Paris. You know how long of a flight it is? Maybe lock the door. Maybe lock the door. You know how long it is? 11, 12 hours. And it sat next to me. I was then in my 20s, and a Brazilian my age sat next to me also. And now South America is divided roughly. Of course, it's not scientific. Roughly 85% of the population are poor, like mice. How much poor? Poverty. The next 50%, 12% of it are like upper middle class, and 3% are filthy rich, the way they say. That's how it's divided. The one sitting on the plane was from the 85%. He told me it's the first time he's on a plane in his life. And he collected penny to penny to go to Europe. For Brazilians to go to Europe is like like going to the Har Sinai. Nothing like it. And he taught himself English. The guy had to drive. Before internet, before all these things, he taught himself English. He knew how to speak English. Ganz good. Not great, enough to communicate. Definitely enough to communicate. And he was like a shmaka guy. He really was. He had a certain chen and so on. After we're best friends for half an hour, we're already best friends. In Israel, after half an hour, they already ask you, Kama ta marviach? How much money do you make? You say a number. Brutto or netto? Gross or net? And the answer is, well, after half an hour, they ask this question. In England, for example, they won't ask it after a million years. You don't ask it. Okay. Anyway, so we're already best friends. So he asked, what do you have on your head? I said, that's a kippah. We call it kippah. It's part of my religion. Which religion are you? I'm Jewish. You're Jewish? Yeah. Do you know I never met a Jew before? You're the first Jew that I ever met. Like, I'm sure you never had such kind of experience. Like, what do you tell the person like that? Oh, thank you very much. You should get to meet many other Jews later on in your life. Like, what do you say? Shkoyach, thank you. I said, you never met a Jew before? He said, no. Where I come from, there are no Jews. You're the first Jew that I meet. I said, okay.
He knew what it was.
What? He knew what it was. Yeah. And look as the conversation unfolded. He said, 1 second, you said you're Jewish, right? Are you from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob? That's what he asked me. He was a very from Catholic, apparently. I said, yeah. Are you from Sarah, Rebecca, Leah, and Rachel? Yeah. Well, let me get it clear. Are you from the Old Testament? That's what he asked me. Yeah. I'm from the people of the Old Testament. Really? So you're a saint. In Brazil, saint means like a lahavdil, a trillion havdalas, like we call Chofetz Chaim. Lahavdil, in a Tuma Latar. You're a saint. You come from the people of the Old Testament. How do you know you come from them? I know I do. Wow. And he was mashamish me the whole flight. I never had so many pillows and cokes in my life. I promise you. He couldn't believe that he's dealing with someone. One of his expressions, everyone, you popped out of the Bible, or you came out from. I remember the exact lesson. And I thought to myself afterwards, Halavai, we should appreciate it as much as he did. He mamish could not believe it that we're from the people of the people of the book. He couldn't believe it. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. He couldn't believe it. But that's who we are. We come from Amitas Atzma of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Ummah Sa'am Dam. Therefore, we're the only ones called Ben, because the Ben comes from the Moshin of the Father. And since the essence of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so to speak, is that he's Echad, he can have only one nation. And then from there, that's what it means, Banim. Okay, Rabbi Say, that's point number one. Rabbi Say, let's go to this week's Parsha, because at the end of the we're in Parsha Shoftim. Rabbi Say, I want to share something again. Mamish Gevaldik. Give a look in Perek Yudches. Anu word. Perek Yudches Pasuk Gimel. What does it say in Perek Yudches Pasuk Gimel? Okay. וזה יהיה משפט הכהני מעש העם, מעש זבחי הזבח, עם שור עם שא, ונוסן לכהן, הזרויה והלחיים והקיבה. These are the three matnas kuna which are called Zroya, Lechayim, and Keva. What do they mean? Zroya means an arm. Lechayim means the jaws, the cheeks. And Keva is the stomach. Why is it written with a Hey Yediyah? Ha-Zroya, Ha-Lechayim, Ha-Keva. Usually when we mention, the Gemara mentions that Zroya, Lechayim, and Keva. Without a Hey Yediyah. But let's look at Rashi. Maybe Rashi, that's what he was bothered by. Look what he says. He's quoting a Gemara in Pasuk Gimel. Okay, Hazroya, good. Valachaim. He says, it says in our Rashi, Im Haloshen. You should know that a lot of Chumash don't have these two words, but our Rashi does. Im Haloshen. And even if you don't have it, that's what you have in mind. Look what Rashi says. Those who dash on the Torah, you omrim. Zroa, you know, come the Kohanim get the arm. Tachad yad shedemar veikach romach beyodai. Because Pinchas took, how would you translate romach in English? A spear? With a D at the end? Spear? Of the R then. A spear. Lechayim, tachas tefillah. Shenemar vayamod Pinchas vayifalel. It's not written in Chumash, that's written in Tehillim. That Pinchas davened. But Keva, where does that come from? Tachas ha'isha al kevaza. That's where he stabbed the isha. Okay. So this is a Gemara in Chulin Daf Kuf Lamed Daled Amud Beis. And Royce, I want to show you something gewaldig on this Rashi. These three matnos kahuna come from the deed which Pinchas did. The Zroya is because he took the romach, the spear, with his hand. The Lechayim is with the Loshem because he davened. Where does it say he davened? In Tehillim. And then the keva, the stomach, that's where it says about her, Tachzaisha el akavasa. Fine. I want to ask you a question, boy. I have three little questions on this Rashi. Question number one: the hand and the stomach, that's what he did. That's what he was engaged with. He davened, everybody davens. Also, you know how many times it says the Chumash to Avram Avinu daven? I don't see that because of that we got Azroya, or we got L'chayim. Davening, he didn't always daven. He davened at that event? Okay, fine. Why is there a price for davening? He's not the first one to daven. So the Zroya that he did that Maaseh, I guess he needed a lot of guts to do it. Fine. The Keva that he went and killed it. Fine. That he davened? Fine. I mean, it's very nice to daven, don't get me wrong. But why does he get a Matnas Kuhuna for the whole Shevet Kohanim? Because Pinchas davened. When the others were always daveners. Like Rashi says in Pas Mashalach. That's question number one. Question number two, he davened with his tongue. And that's our Rashi says, the L'chai means Ima Loshen. So how come the Torah mention the word Loshen? They should get the tongue as a... They get the L'chayim. What does the L'chayim mean? The Maharal explains. The L'chayim means is the jaw all the way to the windpipe. That's what it's called? All the way to the windpipe. It includes also the tongue. You know, that whole area includes also the tongue. But why don't you call a spade a spade? The tefillah was with the Loshen. So they get a matana called Loshen because he davened. Why L'chayim till the windpipe, and that includes the Loshen. That's Rashi, according to this Rashi, it says Ima Loshen. The Maharal was very soon also Ima Loshen. Like, if it's because he davened the Loshen, so say Loshen. Call him straight. And the last question I want to ask, one second. Pinchas did this, that enabled him to become a Kohen, as we know. So that's the reason that the Kohanim don't get it? I mean, technically speaking, so when Pinchas did it, he wasn't a Kohen yet. He was still a regular Yid. As a result of this, he became a Kohen. So now, therefore, all the Kohanim get this because they earned it also. Like he came with his gifts. He joined the Kahuna with his gifts. I mean, why isn't it Schia to all Kohanim? Because that's what Pinchas did before he became a Kohen. And the Ramban on the spot says, yes, it's related. It's related. This is what made Pinchas to become a Kohen, and therefore all the Shevet Kohanim get it as well. How does that work? So, so this is a doctrine that I would like you to say at the Shabbos table. Okay, Chavah? Let's go over it again. That should be with clarity. The Rashi is in Perek Ches Pasuk Gimel, the three things that were given out because of the three things that were done when Pinchas was active in his Maaseh Kanois. The Zroya, because he took the spear. The Lashon is because he davened. And the Keva, because he stabbed in the Keva. That's what the Gemara says. And we have got three questions. Again, question number one. I'm not going to say it, guys. You're going to say it. I promise you. If not, we're going to stay until tomorrow. In Shumbaya. We have three questions. Question number one. What? Oh, we had a question on the pasuk. Why do we say Hazroya l'chaim v'akeva? So the answer is because it's referring to what Pinchas did. Okay, good. That was the fourth question. It was like introduction. Very good. Very good. Very good. Very good. What were the three questions that we had? First of all, question number one is, what's the specialty of daven? Everybody davens. You know how many times it says people daven the Chumash? I don't see that they gave over Matnas Kuna because of that. So the other two, I understand. That's part of the action what he did. But davening, everyone davens. That's question number one. What was question number two? How come you don't mention the Lashon? When it comes to the L'chayim, why are you speaking about that whole faculty? From the jaws till the windpipe, which also will include the tongue. Say tongue straight. And the third question is, what's understanding this enabled Pinchas to become a Kohen? And therefore all the Kohanim get it as well. Well, if it enabled him to become a Kohen, that means he did it before he became a Kohen. So how come now the Kohanim also get how's it called when you come along with it? On the bang, what is it called? On the bagman. What's the shot? Rabbi say, I want to show you what the Maharal says there on this Gemara in Chulin. The Emes. I told you, those who ever found this, the Maharal in the Chidush HaGodes, it's Rabbi Carmel and the Talmidim of Rav Dessler, I promise you, they're going to get a big fat olam haba just for that. I'm sure they have olam haba anyway. I heard Rabbi Kamal was this very special yid, but just because they found this, I'll tell you what he says the Maharal on this point, and you're going to see all questions will be answered according to that. But before we go on, let me add you another question, and this you can ask at the Shabbos table also. You're going to see, you're going to get their interest. Why is one avera called nivul peh, and the other one's called lashon hara? Why is this on peh? Why is this on lashon? What? Why are they called different? Why is this? Why is one called peh? Why is one called lashon? That's the question. Not nivul and ra. Peh versus lashon. Nivul peh, lashon hara. Why is it? The Maharal asked this question. I'll show you what he says. Let me ask you what we say in davening. Ki kol lashon, ki kol peh lecha yoyde, lechol lashon lefanech teshava. Right? That's what it says. What's the pshat there? Chol peh lecha yoyde. Right? That's what it says, Chavre. Lechol lashon. Why do you switch from peh to lashon? No. Again, these kind of the answers cannot be. Well, it's coming to teach you that you should always remember to be sensitive. Right? It's not these kind of answers. Nachon? Okay, Chavre. Beseder. It's a good question. Ask it at the Shabbos table. Another 48 hours. Why nivul peh versus lashon hara? You'll see most people will say their tongue will hang out of their mouth. You'll see. I don't know why. And then bring a raya from Nishmas. What's going on here, Rabbi say? So let me show you what the Maharal says in that Gemara. Pirush elu gimel dvarim. It's about Tana that Kodesh Baruch Hu gave such a yid to Am Yisrael. And then he opened for us Chazal. Ki kol gimel dvarim min chelkei Adam. Lomar ki hakohen hu nivdal v'kadosh v'kol davar. Hen beguf, hen benafshoy, hen benefesh v'daber so. Rabbi say, maybe I'll first say it orally. רב דוד, עכשיו יש פגישה עם ביל, איך קוראים לו? What's the name of the guy from Microsoft? ביל גייטס. עכשיו פגישה עם ביל גייטס, מיליארדים עכשיו הולכים פה. מיליארדים. תשמעו חבר'ה. The Maharal's going to say a chiluk between a siman and siba. It's not because he did these three things he got these matnas kuna. It's a siman that he deserves the matnas kuna. You know what's the chiluk? In the Yeshivas we're taught to differentiate between siba and siman. For example, people that have an issue with overweight, they use sweeteners, saccharin, right? That's how it's called. Can I say the following? I guess saccharin is very fattening because I only see fat people use it. So I guess it's fattening. Does that make sense? Sweeteners are fattening because I see skinny people don't use it. Only people overweight use it. I guess it's fattening. No, it's not. It's the other way around. Once you're overweight, you would. So what is sweeteners regarding overweight? It's a siman that is overweight, not a siba. Right? Or if you're a good boy, you'll get a chocolate. So the chocolate, if I see a kid walking around with a chocolate, it's a siman that he is a good boy. It's not, but the siba is that he's a good boy. Right? Says the Maharal, Pinchas, when he did this avoid of kanois, he made a point that the three elements of every human being should be engaged in this avodah. He treated it like avodas Hashem. And the three layers, or the three chalakim that every human being has, are the following. The Maharal here is calling it a little bit different, but it's the same idea. Guf, nefesh, and the intellect. Usually he calls it sechel, here he calls it nefesh hamedaberes, speech. Pinchas made a point that in this deed, all three elements, all three parts, should be engaged in this mitzvah, in this avodah. The guf is the stomach. Good. The fact his hand going and taking the spear backward and forward, that has the nefesh. The nefesh is the petrol that gives things to move. And tefillah is speech. Right? That's what he says. And that's what Kohanim are all about. Kohanim are those people that are Kaddish in all three fronts. They're Kaddish with their speech. Where do you see a relationship between Kahuna and speech? Sifsei, because Kohanim, Sifsei Kohen Yivak, what does it say in the puzzle? Sifsei Kohen, Yishmu Das, Yivak Torah, Mipiu. Aaron HaKohen became a Kohen when he agreed to be the spokesman to Paro. When did Moshe lose the Kuna? When he refused to be a spokesman. Those are facts. Kuna has to do with speech. Why? We'll see later, if there'll be time. Who was the last year that taught us how to speak? The Chofetz Chaim. And he was a Kohen. You think it's a coincidence that the Chofetz Chaim was a Kohen? I promise you it's not a coincidence. A Kohen taught Am Yisrael Hilchos Lashon Hara. אתה חושב שזה מקרה? I promise you it's not. So Kohanim have to do with speech. Kohanim have to do with deeds, of course. They do korbanos and they're engaged. Kohanim have to do also with the guf. What's the biggest right the Kohanim have to do with guf? Excellent. Blemishes, puzzle. Mumi, blemishes, disqualified. Do you know any other area in Torah the blemish is disqualified? If someone has a physical blemish, he's disqualified? It's by Sanhedrin, maybe by Mishpat, something else. But otherwise? No, that's a different thing. That's something else. That's not because of Balmum, because he can't grant. Then go away, you're a Balmum. Only by Kahuna. Could a Chazan be a Balmum? Absolutely. You know what the Mishmur says? He's a better Chazan. He has a broken heart. Could a Rav be a Balmum? For sure. No problem at all. By Kohanim, it's a problem. Why? Because they have to bring out the element of guf. They have to have also a guf, which is shalom. But it's only Kohanim. It's only by Kuna. You don't have it anywhere else in Torah. You don't have it. That's what the Rambam says in Derech Chaim over there of Shlosh Ksarim. So Kohanim are the ones that are Oved Hashem with the three elements that a person has. Pinchas did this Maaseh of the Kanois with the three elements, Dibur, Nefesh, and Guf. Therefore, he's qualified to be a Kohen. He has what it takes to become a Kohen. It's not a siba because he did these deeds, he gets a prize, you're a Kohen. What Kohanim have, Pinchas illustrated that he had also. It's a simon that he's a Kohen, not a siba that he's a Kohen. You hear the chiluk between simon and siba? It's very important to know the getter. It's a very clear definition. It's a siba, not a simon. I'll give you an example. Someone told me just 2-3 weeks ago. Rabbi Kiva says in the Gemara that if you find another woman who's prettier than your wife, you could divorce your wife. Matzah achet noicha imena, or yafa imena, whatever the Lashon Gemara is. Really, is that a reason to divorce a wife? Because you found someone prettier? What would you say? So you know what Rebecca Kamenetsky says? It's a sima, not a siba. The fact that you notice that someone else is prettier than your wife, that means your marriage is not such a good one. Because if the marriage is good, you don't care about other ones if they're pretty or not. You wouldn't even notice it. So you see what changed? Because of that, you're going to divorce your wife? It's not a siba. It's a siba that the marriage is not in a good state. That's what Rebecca Kamenetsky says. And Emes Yaakov. Beseder. Says the Maharal, that's how he got these three things. These three things shows that Pinchas had what it takes to be a Kohen. So he'll join Guna. So my boy said, let's answer all our three questions. Let's start from question number 3. Question number 3 was, he did it before he's a Kohen. So why does that attribute that to all Kohanim? If it's a Simon, for sure it makes sense. He's revealing and showing what Kohuna is all about. So anybody who's a Kohen will get it. If it's a Siba, well, he did it before he was a Kohen. But if it's a Simon, it's reflecting that he has the ingredients of a Kohen. Okay, so anybody who has a Kohen also has those ingredients. And therefore, it's a Kasha. What was Kasha number 2? Why aren't you mentioning the word Lashon? Rabbi says, so regarding this question, why do we say nivul peh versus lashon hara? The Maharal asks this question, and he brings it in 2-3 places. But let me show you how he says it in the Chidush Agodas and Ksubis. V'yesh lirot asher yesh ben lashon hara ben nivul peh, ki lashon hara mitzad shemedaber b'chaveroi, ve'en etzem hadibur ra. רק שיאמר פלוני עשה דבר זה, ונקרא לושן הרע. אבל ניבול פה הוא על הדיבור בעצמו. What's the Maharal saying? Maybe there's a few ways to understand. I'll tell you the way I understand it. Lashon, there's a difference between words and speech. You tell me, guys, what's the difference between words and speech?
Speech is the actual words he's saying.
No.
Speech is the meaning behind the words.
The words is specific. Speech is the whole faculty. The whole faculty of speaking. Speech. Lashon hara is you're saying words which are derogatory about another yid, and you are denigrating his covet. It's not that the speech, it's the words were not supposed to be said the way they were said. Nivul peh is not word here, word there. It's not words. It's look what he's doing with his speech. Look how he's contaminating with things which are inappropriate. It could be this word, it could be that word. It's not so much the word, it's the faculty of speech. That's called peh. Nivul peh. Lashon hara, lashon is the words. If you're focusing on words, you're going to say the word lashon. Like a shvua has to be specific words. B'chol lashon l'chot teshava. It's a halacha in words, which words you're going to use. But Haidah doesn't necessarily have to be words. I can do Haidah even without words. If I go over there, I want to thank you. It's an expression. It's. Of course you have to say words, but it's the speech. Speech is a more general thing. Words is specific. Nivul peh is not that he used this word or that word. It's the whole frame of mind, what he's doing with his speech. That's called nivul peh. Hadibur ba'atzma, the dibur itself. That's what he says here. Lashon hara is, the dibur is not the dibur the problem, it's the words which is the problem. Okay. That's what he says. But boy say, if that's the case, once we define that the tefillah of Pinchas is not a siba but a siman, so meaning why did Pinchas daven then? What did he accomplish with that davening? No. The way the Maharal's learning. That's how I would learn without the Maharal. But after the Maharal came, what does it mean? He's bringing in the speech element in this avodah. This tefillah worked not because of the words that it had. That's how usually tefillahs work. You said this word, you said this chant, this thing. The tefillah was brought in here because it's representing the speech element of a human being. That he could talk. That's what it was. A general thing. Maybe the word general is a good word. So therefore, I'm not going to focus on the word lashon, just like you don't say nivul peh, you don't say nivul lashon, you say nivul peh. If it's the words that did it, he had a special kind of davening with a special kind of kavanah, and that triggered the geula. If that's what it was, then I would focus on the tongue and on the words. But the way the Maharal's learning here, that's not what the tefillah did here. The tefillah was a representation of the speech that a human being has. Koach hadibur. That's what it was. That is not unique to this word or that word. Any tefillah would do it. And therefore, I'm not going to single out the tongue. I'm going to speak about that whole faculty. That's the word faculty? The whole faculty of speech starts from the jaw and goes down to the windpipe. And whatever's included there. That's what speech is about. The specific words are connected to the tongue. But I'm not going to single out the tongue because that's not my point here. The tefillah of Pinchas here did not work like other tefillahs work. Other tefillahs work through their tachnunim. Other tefillahs work through their words, through the certain shemos that you quoted. That's how other tefillahs work. Not the tefillah of Pinchas. The tefillah of Pinchas worked by introducing an element of speech. The lashon of the Maharal there in Chulin is, again, I said earlier before, ולקח היה פנחס פועל בכל אלו חלקים אבוידס בורוי. What he did was called אבוידס בורוי. שלקח רומח בידו והיה פועל בנפשו. שהיה מספר להשם יזברך בדיבור והרג את המדיינית וידקור אותה אל קבוסה וזה ביטול הגוף. That's what he says. What was question number 1? Of course, you can be able to say the Shabbos table the way you should? Huh? What do you say? Oh, you take a pamphlet from the shul and you see a little boy there and that's what how many times? Okay? What was the first question? He's not the first one davening. Here we're speaking about a different outlook of davening. It's one out of 3 things. That's what it was here. So first of all, davening on its own wouldn't have given it to Pinchas either. It's davening with the other 2. But a deeper one is not just it's 3 versing 1, but rather the point is that it was a full what? A package. That's the word I was looking for. Shkoyach. It's a package of kahuna. It's this. It's 3 elements. It joined the other 2. He has what it takes to be a kohen, because that's what kohanim are all about. Kohanim are those who are sanctified with the guf, with the nefesh, and with the dibur. That's what they are. And Pinchas illustrated that he has what it takes. It's a simon that he really truly should be a kohen. And that's what Kuna is about. Yes? What?
The way that you express your mind is through the mouth. So he's expressing his feelings as well on what he's thinking.
No, that's it's called sechel adabri. That's why it's called sechel. 100%. It's called sechel adabri. The mind which talks, for sure. But usually the Maharal says it's a lower level than thought. Usually, here not. That has to be explained.
One question. When the father was davening for her children,
Yes?
it emphasized that she was her lips moving, but not her mouth. It was just more
No,
emphasized.
no. She davened, but she didn't say it loud.
She was so loud, I'm saying,
But she spoke. She davened.
But the Kohen thought she was drunk. I'm saying.
Yeah, okay, something, yeah.
But I'm saying that it suggested it was more the mouth than the whole.
No,
No.
I don't think you're derived from Chana. We learn Tana Lachas from Chana.
Can you see that's why it says the 3 hays? Because it was a package. It was this and that's hey idea.
Hey idea has to do with the package, that I don't know. But the hey idea is it's corresponding to the 3 that Pinchas did.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, so we not have because of package.
Well, yeah.
So that, but for this you don't need the Maharal. Rashi took care of it. The Gemara is enough. These Zroel Chaim is corresponding to the other 3 that preceded them a few years earlier. Okay, but anyway, so everybody, so you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to ask your family members if you send it over in the Shabbos table. I'm going to say expect a phone call to your spouses. I'm going to say, how did he say the Torah on Friday night? How did he say? He said it good. Did he ask them 3 kashas? And the 4th one, did you speak about Libel Pen Lashon Hara? You're like, yeah, you said Kishmak? Okay. Rabbi, do we have a minion here? We need Baruch to go get people. I don't think we have 10.